Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Continuing in our series on the 1954 Oldsmobile. Got it home, been plugging away on it. Got a lot of good stuff done. Still got a ways to go, but today we're going to do the tires. The car has had radials put on it at one time. 225/75/15 tire was the comparable replacement for the original 670/15 bias ply tire. Getting these things off, radial tires only have about an average lifespan of about 5 to 6 years before they start to become compromised by age. These tires are checked and weather cracked pretty badly. I mean, they do have tread, but if you were to take off on these tires, you'd probably be lucky if you got 100 miles before one failed. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace these today. Even went so far as to look at the DOT code date on the tires. All tires are stamped with a DOT code tire date on them. This particular tire was made in, looks like the 13th week of 1998, so these tires are really old, way past prime. Time for them to go. That being said, I'm going to do it myself here in the drive. Got my grandpa's tire bars and hammers. He had a tire shop in northern Michigan for some years back in the 70s. When I was probably 14 years old, he showed me how to do tires with hammers and bars, old school style. So that's how we're going to do it on this car. You can get away with that with steel rims, aluminum. You have to be really careful. Did a lot of those on big commercial trucks when I was working as a mechanic full-time. So I'm well versed in tire bars, but with that being said, we're going to get into it. So the first thing we're going to use, this is a tire tool. You got to get the air out of these tires. They come in a couple different styles, but this is one of the primary tools for this. We need to remove the valve core from the tire to get the air out of it. This right here is what comes out of the valve stem. That's your valve core. There's at least one design of them. That's what actually holds the air in the tire through it when you put air in the tire. It's at this point you could go around and take the wheel weights off. For what we're doing, I'm not too worried about it. Got our handy tire hammer here, and hang back and watch. That side broke pretty easy. Like I said, that's one of the big things. When you do aluminum rims, tire hammers are not the best option to do that. You're better off to use a tire machine. Doing what I just did there with an aluminum rim would probably break it. Steel rims, not a big deal. Bang it back in place. At this point, if you actually have a tire weight hammer, it makes removing these really easy. Or if you're doing it like I am, just use a pair of pliers and work them off there. You can also use a screwdriver, pry bar. Then at this point, these are old tires, so I'm not terribly concerned about them. If you're putting new tires on, you're not going to want to use penetrating oil on it. You don't want to use a tire soap, or even dish soap is an acceptable alternative. I've always found using a petroleum-based penetrating oil on a new tire, it can actually attack the rubber. It's probably not going to cause a failure, but just something to keep in mind. At this point, we've got our tire spoons. Step down on the tire, that pushes it down into the drop center. First side's off. Just like that, we got our first tire off. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is actually change the valve stem. You can have a tool like this. This is a valve stem puller. I don't know how I managed to acquire one of those and not a tire weight hammer, but it just rips it out. You can also cut them with a pair of side cutters. Make sure the center's popped out. Got our new valve stems, lube those up, and use a little dish soap. Screw that guy on there and just pop that guy up in place. It's important to replace your valve stems when you do a set of tires. They do age just like the tires. If you don't, you can actually have a valve stem failure and still have a fine tire and end up with a leak. Okay, so we got our brand new tire here. This is a Coker reproduction 760/15 3-inch Whitewall tire. This is very similar to what would have been on a car when it was new. I did opt for these because bias plies have a longer age rating on it. They don't go as many miles, but the likelihood is that I will age these out before I ever wear them out. And take a little bit of soap, lube up those beads so that they'll slip on the rim. Okay, so it's at this point we're going to actually start working our tire on the rim. Some guys will actually take and slam it down on the rim. If you got good lube and bars, it's usually not a problem. Just start working it on. This is the fun part. And sometimes if they're lubed well enough, you can just force them down on there like I just did. Got her started. Do that real slow. Take the pressure off that strap. Nice sigh of relief. As you can see, we got them done. That's the old school way to do tires. Forgot to mention earlier, gonna put a little pre-warning in there. I am a licensed and trained ASE Master Automobile Technician and a Master Technician in the state of Michigan. I've done a lot of tires in my life. If you don't know what you're doing, do not attempt this. Vintage tire technology can be extremely dangerous. There have been people killed doing tires. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. That being said, we got our tires done, all aired up, beaded up. I can put them back on the car and drive with them. They're going to need to be balanced. I don't have a bubble balancer, which is the old way that they would have balanced tires back in the day. Even if I had one, I wouldn't use it. My personal opinion is they suck. So that being said, gonna have them balanced at a shop. From there on, we should be in good shape. So let's get back to work on this thing and get on the road.